Hey everyone, it's David here again from the spa shop. We just filled up our floor model 670 Platinum here. I haven't turned it on yet. It's down at the breaker panel here. So I'm gonna flick the switch here. We'll go see what happens. So we've got our screen just starting up. It just said initializing and we see some bubbles coming up here. And ultimately, if we've done it right, you can hear the air hissing out. Close it back up, some water's coming out. It hasn't kicked on yet. You can see some action going on here. I'm just having some patience right now. It may not kick on immediately. I'm gonna try to bleed it again. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that off again, loosen that off again. It's okay if water comes out. We kind of want water to come out. We want to see this pressure. We want this air to escape. And here we go. This is what we kind of want to see here. We see this motion in the water. We see the pump is actually catching some prime right now. So it's got rid of most of the air. You can see mostly water coming out here. Still some more. We can let that come out. You can kind of tighten it up. You can wait 5 minutes, come back, let some more air out. But now that the system's kicked on, we can see all the air bubbles coming out of the bottom jet here. Well, that's fun. This is the Hydropool feature that is just turned on our front panel here. If you have the Hydropool feature, you'll have these basically balloon-looking bubbles icon here, and that's air therapy for the legs, reflexology joints. And in this lounge model, it's extremely comfortable to have all those air jets on your legs and your thighs, calves. So the hot tub is actually just starting up this normal process, and this is what you should normally see. We had dashes on the screen, if you remember earlier in the video, and now we see 55 degrees. When we get a temperature, we know there's no airlock, because essentially this system has now got water running through it. It can detect what the temperature of the water is. So you can turn this thing off yet. I will warn you, yes, when you just turn on your hot tub, you may or may not be able to turn things on and off at first, so just keep that in mind. Maybe it's me. We have an independent control for the Hydropool air system right here, so we can turn that one on. Oh, we've got the other pumps trying to turn on now and prime themselves. So pump number 2 is just turned on by itself, which is completely normal. Totally expect the hot tub to turn on and off when you initially flick the switch. It's gonna try each pump individually. It's gonna try to turn them on, and if it can't, you're gonna know essentially that the motor's running, but you don't see water coming out of the jets. That means airlock. If you have more than one pump, you have the potential to have more than one airlock. The most important airlock in this case was the heater and the filter, which we have been addressing initially. Getting the air to that heating and filter, because in that system, if we can't have that system running, the hot tub can't heat. In the case of pump number 2 here, which is running, I mean, as long as the hot tub heats up, I care that it runs, but it's not gonna damage anything, for example. As long as that heater's going and that independent little filter system, then that's fine. We can try pump number 1 here. Here we go. Everything's running. By rotating this valve, you turn the waterfalls on and off. This valve, which is your largest valve, you want to make sure that you've got a nice seal around this black ring. For me, this water droplet is telling me which direction the valve is pointing. In this case, the water droplet in the middle. The valve is operating between here and here, so this is sort of in the middle, which is sharing water between one chair and another chair. So now it's evenly distributed, but I can't hog that pressure and make other chairs stronger, or take that pressure away and make other chairs the opposite side stronger. Air controls makes the jets a lot harder. If you have a 670 model, we have a diverter for this chair in particular, which controls the water flow between the far left cluster of jets and the far right cluster of jets. So if you're sitting here and you want to put your legs up, you turn it so that these guys are on. So you've got your head here and your back is nice, and then you want to make room for other people, put your leg in the middle so that chair becomes free. Put your head here, you rotate this valve over. Now it takes it away from here and moves it over here. Air control for that chair, again, it's decrease volume of air, and that will make that jet stronger. You can even share if you want. You don't have to have them. You can have all 4 going if you want, just by having this guy in the middle. Just got to figure out where that middle is. And all the jets underwater, for the most part, turn on and off as well, kind of like this jet. If you don't want them on, you rotate on and off. Same thing with the jets underwater. If they're not shooting, you want to make sure you're rotating them off. Counterclockwise on. It's important to make sure if you just started your hot tub up, I know it's cold, but get your hands in there. Make sure you counterclockwise twist on all those jets. Make sure you've got as much water coming out as possible, which is good for the pump. No back pressure. Go around, open them all up. Air controls for this chair. They work. Yeah, it's actually better to not have the air on if you're trying to heat it up, so we'll just turn that off because we're trying to heat this up. This thing's freezing cold. Air control. Okay, I'll just turn the air off. If you were wondering, this is an aroma infusion. If you get the liquid scent, you can unscrew this. You can pour your liquid scents into here, put the plunger back in, thread down, and once it's threaded down, you just press that button, which infuses the scents directly through the bottom into the hot tub from the bottom up, just by pressing that guy there. But you have to have scents in there first. We don't have that. We can put some in, but maybe for another video. Oh, there's another diverter over there. Didn't get to that one. Diverter controlling water pressure between your lounger over here and this chair. And this valve's gonna drive me nuts the way it is, so I'm gonna remove that, make sure my seal is nice. And I already know that's pointing this way and then to the middle. So now we have equal distribution of water here and here. And I'm gonna freeze my hands off to try and tighten, make sure these jets are open. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Your pillows, since we're here, do come off on a clip. You just pull them off. These pillows are soft, and when they're in the hot tub, they can break down faster than if they're not in the hot tub. So if you know you're not gonna use your hot tub for a few days in a row, these will last you longer if you take them out and bring them inside. They're not exactly cheap to replace, so I do recommend, unless you're using your hot tub every day or every other day, that you bring them in when you're not using the tub for, you know, a week or you go away. Take them off the clip and just make sure they're on good when you put them back in. The clip's just a black piece in the back here. You just line it up. You might have to give it a smack like I did. Waterfalls come off. Just pull the whole thing off. Okay, if you want to bring that whole thing, you can. If you ever have to buy a new pillow for this, do not throw this piece in the middle out. You want to take this out, guys, girls, everyone. This piece is very important, and it's actually kind of expensive, and it doesn't come with the pillow when you buy a new one. So make sure you keep this. Discard that when it's done. Just goes in like so when you're replacing the pillow. Just make sure you line the back up and push it in from the blade, we call this. You've got a basket on the inside here we have to maintain. Lift up, comes off. It's gonna be difficult for me to do this while the water is running, so maybe a good time to show you how to do standby mode here. We're gonna put the hot tub into standby mode, drag icon. We're gonna locate our settings menu, which is the orange bubble. We're gonna choose a maintenance operation right now, and we're gonna choose standby. We're gonna wait. So right now the hot tub's been heating, and I will point out, it hasn't completely shut off. You saw the big motors turn off, jets 1 and 2, but filtration pump is still going. And you can still hear it kind of bubbling away here. This means that the hot tub was heating, and it's currently cooling the heater off before it shuts the pump off, preventing the water from boiling within. So we're just gonna have to wait about 30 seconds or so. You'll know when it happens. You'll stop hearing that bubbling sound. You'll stop seeing the bubbles come out like we just did. Now the hot tub is completely in standby. Sometimes that just turns right off if it wasn't heating, so just keep that in mind. This door swings out. Okay. Grab your basket from the inside. It has to come out exactly as I'm doing it now. It does not go in or out any other way. So make sure you're keeping this tab facing the sky when you put it back in. Make sure there's no hair or leaves or debris. Clean it out if you have to. With that tab facing the sky, let it fall back in as so, okay? That guy goes back in. When you're putting your top back on, your cover I should say, has a top. It says so right there. Can you see that? Top. If you put that on upside down, it's gonna be very hard to get off. There's 4 tabs on the inside here, so just make sure that you're lining those up with the 4 consecutive spots on the inside of the housing of the skimmer. Find the top, push on, and then slide down, like so. At this point, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we were able to get that airlock out pretty easy. I must say, yeah, I got off a little easy there. Airlocks can sometimes be a little bit trickier than that. Oh, sorry, I'm sweating a little bit here, and it's been raining all day. So we've been working outside just trying to get things cleaned up for winter time, make sure we got all the water out of the pipes, all the floor models, make sure there's no damage over the winter is going to happen to any of the inventory. But yeah, so if you get an airlock in your system and that does not work, essentially the hot tub is still stationary like this and there's no bubbles happening and you can hear the motor running, you can try turning it on and off at the breaker a couple times. You can try bleeding this out every 5 minutes or so. Try opening it up, closing it. Like if you see air building up in here, that's a good thing. If you see stuff moving around inside here, that's a good thing. If you see bubbles kind of coming out of that bottom area, that's a good thing. So these are all encouraging signs that it's gonna start going. If it's completely airlocked and you've done this and you're frustrated at this point, it won't work. You're probably gonna have to either call the store or go to the lengths of taking off the front cabinet here, which I can do for you. So I've already done the screws. Nice for me. Move our step out of the way. Now, obviously you'd want to unscrew those before you take this off. So I'm gonna crack the cabinet here. It's on magnets, so you're just gonna pry it. I like to put my foot kind of down here so it doesn't slam on the ground. Sometimes all the magnets let go at the same time. And we're just gonna pull this guy off. When we're talking about airlocks in the heater, this is your heater here. This is your circulation or filter pump. Therapy pump is much bigger. Therapy pump, again, much bigger. And those are running the big jets, obviously, in the big chairs. But that filter system right there is tied directly to this pump. If we are unable to get an airlock by unscrewing the bleed cap here, you could try even using a plunger or something to kind of move the water up and down inside of that filter bay. Essentially moving the water in and out of these pipes here. We're trying to push the air, which is accumulated inside this green area. We're trying to move that air somewhere other than in there. We want the air here, we want the air here, because the motor is designed to pull water. We want that water to get pulled, push the air out, and essentially we can do that by bleeding air directly out of the motor if necessary. So if push comes to shove, you can start to unscrew these little valves and you'll get the same spurting action that you saw up here. You'll see water and air kind of bubbling and spurting out of here. Some technicians will go to the lengths of unscrewing the entire manifold here, the union, let's say. Totally fine, again, at your comfort level. I usually find success by just using the plugs here. Bleed some air out, let some water come out. Sometimes that's just the extra oomph it needs, okay? Yeah. I guess while we're here, we could quickly talk about the UV ozone system, which is right here. So if you've UV ozone system installed and you need to change your bulb, you basically want to make sure that you access this component here, which is typically located above the blue box. And you're going to need to get a screwdriver and unscrew the 4 screws in the back here and take this black plate off. Now, I'll do another video where I change that, but essentially if you're changing your UV bulb, maybe there'll be a link in the video somewhere. You can click on that video, but we haven't done that one yet, so we'll work on that. And yeah, that's about it. When you're putting your cabinet back on, I like to start from the bottom up. I like to have it kind of like this. I like to line up those magnets and let it kind of find its own path home. Keeping in mind that these black clips on the side, we don't want to get those interfering with the cabinet, so you may have to manipulate or push the cabinet away from those clips as you're putting the cabinet on, so that that door comes right down and locks in. Also, if you got a gap up here, you may have to pull from the bottom up like this and get rid of that gap. Okay. And I think the veneers are pretty self-explanatory, but once again, you're gonna have some holes in the cabinet here. We're gonna wanna line up those screws. You can use this clip right here to help hold the veneer on so you can do your work with your drill. Like that. Yeah, it's a lot harder with one hand, but same thing, this guy over here. Line up that clip right in the middle there. Easiest just to line it up where that clip is and snap her in. And then you can screw your veneers in. At this point, I appreciate your time and your patience for this video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you're local to the spa shop, we're in Durham and Whitby, Ontario, and you can give us a call, give us an email. You'll find our website as well in the comments below. All right. Hope you're having a good one. Bye-bye.